네, 안녕하십니까. 영어 쉐도잉 연습 147일차 한번 시작해 보도록 하겠습니다. 네, 그러면 오늘도 첫 번째 할 영상은 오바마 영상 시작해 보겠습니다. But at the end of the day, the circumstances of your life, what you look like, where you come from, how much money you have, what you are going on at home, none of that is an excuse. There is no excuse for not trying. I've given a lot of speeches about education. I talked about responsibility a lot. I talked about teachers' responsibility for inspiring students, pushing you to learn. I talked about your parents' responsibility for making sure you're straight on track. You get your homework done. Don't spend every waking hour in front of the TV or read the extracts. I've talked a lot about your government responsibility for setting high standards, supporting teachers, principals, turning around schools that are working. Students are getting the opportunities they deserve. But at the end of the day, you have the most dedicated teachers, most supportive parents, best schools in the world, and none of it will make a difference. None of it will matter unless all of you fulfill your responsibility, unless you show up to those schools, unless you pay attention to those teachers, unless you listen to your parents, grandparents, and other adults and put in the hard work it takes to succeed. That's what I want to focus on today. The responsibility which you have for your education. I want to start with the responsibility you have to yourself. Every single one of you has something that you're good at. Every single one of you has something to offer. You have a responsibility to yourself to discover what that is. And that's the opportunity and education can provide. Maybe you could be a great writer, maybe even good enough to write a book or articles in newspaper, but you might not know it. Maybe you could be an innovator or inventor, maybe even good enough to come up with the next iPhone or the new medicine or vaccine. But you might not know it until you do a project for science class. Or maybe you could be a mayor, or senator, or Supreme Court justice. But you might not know that until you join student government or the debate team. No matter what you want to do with your life, I guarantee you need an education to do it. You want to be a doctor? You want to be a doctor, a teacher, or post officer? You want to be a nurse or architect or lawyer or member of military? You're gonna need a good education for every single one of those careers. But you cannot drop out of school and just drop into a good job. You got to train for it, work for it, and learn for it. This isn't just important for your own life and your own future. When you make up your education will decide nothing less than the future of this country. The future of America depends on you. What you are learning in school today will determine whether we as a nation can meet our great challenges in the future. You'll need the knowledge and problem skills you're learning in science and math to cure diseases like cancer and AIDS, to develop your energy technologies and protect our environment. You'll need insight and critical thinking skills you gain in history and social studies to battle poverty and homelessness, crime and discrimination, or make our nation more fair and more free. You need the creativity and ingenuity you develop in all your classes to develop your own companies that will create new jobs and boost our economy. We need every single one of us. We need every single one of you to. We need every single one of you to develop your talents and your intellect, your skills and your intellect, so you can help us all the folks solve our most difficult problems. If you don't do that, if you quit on school, you're not just quitting on your country. You are not just quitting on yourself. You're quitting on your country. I know it's always good to wait in school. I know a lot of you have challenges in your lives right now. They can make it hard to focus on your schoolwork. I get it. I know what it's like. My father left my family when I was 2 years old. I was raised by a single man who had work, who struggled at times to pay the bills, that was always able to give us the things that other kids had. There were times when I missed having a father in my life. There were times I was lonely and I felt like I didn't fit in. So I was always focused as I should have been at school. Uh,
So I wasn't always as focused as I should have been on school. And I did some things that I'm not proud of.
and I did some things I'm not proud of.
I got
I
in
got
more trouble
in
than
more
I should
trouble
have.
than I should have.
And my life
In my
could
life,
have easily
it
taken
could have easily
a turn
taken
for
a
the
turn
worse.
for the worst.
But I was
I was lucky.
I got a lot of
I
second
got a
chances.
lot of
I had
second
the
chances.
opportunity to go to college,
I had
law school.
I I I had it. I had an opportunity to go to college and law school. Follow my dream.
My
My
wife,
wife,
First Lady Michelle Obama,
First
she
Lady
has a
Michelle
similar
Obama, she
story.
has similar story.
Neither
Neither
of
of
her
her
parents
parents
had gone to
had
college.
gone to college.
And they didn't have a lot of money.
They didn't have
But
a
they
lot of
worked
money.
hard,
They worked hard and she worked hard so that she could go to the best schools in this country. Some of you might not have those advantages. Maybe you don't have those in your life to give the support that you need.
Someone in your family has lost their job.
Maybe someone in your family has lost their jobs
Enough money to go around. Maybe you
so that there's not enough money to go around.
live in a neighborhood where you don't feel safe or have
Maybe you live in a neighborhood where you don't feel safe
friends who are pressuring you to
or have friends who are pressuring you to do things
do things you know aren't right.
you don't want
At
to
the
write.
end of the day,
But at the end of the day, the circumstances of your life, what you look like, where you come from, how much money you have,
got going on at
what
home,
is going on at home, none of them is an excuse for neglecting your for neglecting homework and having a bad attitude in school.
that's no excuse
And
for talking back to your
there's
teacher,
no excuse talking back to your teacher, cutting class,
dropping out of school.
or dropping out of
There is
school.
no excuse
There is no excuse
for not trying.
for not trying.
Where you are right now doesn't
Where
have
you
to
are right
determine
now doesn't have to determine where you end up. 네, 광고가 나오네요. 넘어가고요.
No one's written your destiny
Where you are right now doesn't have to determine where you end up.
for you. Right now doesn't have to determine where you'll end up.
No one's written your destiny for you. Because here in America, you write your own destiny. You make your own future. That's why young people are doing every day all across America. Young people like Jasmine Perez
From Roma, Texas.
from Roma, Texas. Jasmine didn't speak English
First started school.
when she first started school.
Neither
Neither
of
her
her
parents
had
had gone to college.
She worked hard
and
and
on good grade, got a scholarship to Brown University as now in graduate school, studying public health, on her way to becoming Dr. Jasmine Perez. I'm thinking about Andoni Schultz from Los Altos, California, who's fought brain cancer since he was 3. He's had to endure all sorts of treatments and surgeries, one of which affected his memory. So it took him much longer, 100 of extra hours to do school work. But he never fell behind. He's headed to college this fall. Then there's Chantal Steve from my hometown of Chicago, Illinois. Even when bouncing from foster home to foster home in the toughest neighborhood in the city, she managed to get a job at a local health care center, start a program to keep young people out of gangs, and she's on track to graduate high school with honors and go to college. Jasmine, Anjoni, Chantel aren't any different from any of you. They face challenges in their lives just like you do. Some cases, they got it a lot worse off than many of you. But they refused to give up. They chose to take responsibility for their lives, for their education, and set goals for themselves. And I expect all of you to do the same. That's why today I'm calling on each of you to set your own goals for your education and do everything you can to meet them. Whatever you resolve to do, whatever you resolve to do, I want you to commit to. I want you to really work it.
Sometimes you get that sense from TV that you can
I know that sometimes you get the sense from the TV that
be rich,
You-
and
you
successful
can be
without any
rich.
hard work. That
can be rich and successful without any hard work.
your ticket to success is
The
through
ticket to
rapping or
success is through rapping and basketball
being
and being a reality TV star. Chances are you're not gonna be any of those things.
Truth
Truth is
being
that
successful,
being successful is hard. You will love every subject you study. You won't click with every teacher you have. Not every homework assignment
will seem completely relevant to your
will, will, will
will seem completely relevant to your
Not every homework assignment will seem completely relevant to your life
right at this
right
minute.
at this minute.
You won't necessarily succeed in everything
You won't necessarily succeed. You won't necessarily succeed in everything
the time you try. That's okay.
the first time you try. That's okay.
Some of the most successful
Some of the most successful some of the most successful people in the world
people are the ones who've had the most failures.
are ones who have most failures.
J.K.
J.K.
Rowling,
Rowling,
who wrote Harry Potter.
who wrote
Her
Harry
first
Potter.
Harry Potter book was rejected.
Her first Harry Potter book was rejected 12 times
before it
before it
was finally
was finally
Michael Jordan
published.
was
Michael
cut from
Jordan.
his high school basketball team.
Mike Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team.
He
He lost hundreds of games and missed thousands of shots during his career. But he once said, I failed over and over and over again in my life. That's why I succeed. People succeed. These people succeeded because they understood that
you can't let your failures define you.
you can't let your failures define you.
You have to let your failures teach
You have to let them
you.
show you
next time.
what to do differently next time.
So if you get into trouble,
If you get into trouble,
it doesn't mean you're a troublemaker.
that doesn't mean you're a troublemaker.
It means you need to try harder,
It means you need to try harder,
to act right.
to act right.
If you get a bad grade, that doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means
You get a bad grade, it doesn't mean you're stupid.
you need to spend more time
It
studying.
just means you need to spend more time. You need to spend more time studying.
No one's born,
Being good
at
at
all
all
things.
things.
You
You
become
become
good
good
at
at
things
things
through
through hard
hard
work.
athlete the first time you play a new sport.
You're not a versatile athlete. The first time you start a new sport,
You don't hit every
you don't
note
hit
the
every
first time
note.
you sing a song.
the first time you sing a song,
You got to practice.
you got to practice. The same principle applies to your school.
You might have to do a math problem
You might have to do a math problem a few times
before you get it right.
before you get it
You might
right.
have to read something a few times before you understand.
You might have to read something a few times before you understand.
You definitely have
You
to
definitely have to do a few drafts of paper before it's
Don't
green enough
be
handy.
afraid to ask questions.
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Ask for help when you need it. I do
Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. I do that every day.
Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength.
Asking for help is a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength.
It shows you have the
It
courage
shows
to
you,
admit
it shows you have a you shows you have a courage to admit when you're done with something,
and
and
that
then
allows you to learn
and that then allows you to learn something new.
an adult that you trust. Parent,
So find an adult that you trust, a parent, a grandparent, or teacher, or coach, or a counselor,
and ask them
and help you stay on track to meet your goal.
Even when you're struggling,
Even when you're struggling,
feel like
discouraged,
other people have given up on you. When you're struggling, even when you're discouraged,
even when you're discouraged,
you feel
you
like
feel
other
like
people have given up on you.
other people are giving up on you.
Don't
Don't ever
give up on
give up on
yourself. Because
yourself.
when you give up on yourself,
Because when you give up on yourself,
you give up on your
you
country.
give up on your
The story
country.
of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough.
Stories of America isn't about people who cried when things got tough.
It's about people who kept going.
It's about it's about people who kept going,
Tried harder.
who tried
Loved
harder.
their country too much
who left their country too much
to do anything less than their best.
to do anything less than their best.
It's the story of students who sat
Students who it's the story of students who sat where you sit 250 years ago, went on to wage a revolution, and they founded this nation. Young people, students who sat where you sit 75 years ago, overcame a depression
World War,
and World
fought
War,
for civil rights, and put a man
and fought for civil rights and put on the man on
Students who sat where
put a man on the moon. Students who sat where you sit 20 years ago,
founded Google and Twitter,
who founded Google and Twitter
Facebook,
and Facebook,
and changed the way we
changed the way we
communicate with each other.
changed the way we communicate with each other.
But today, I want to ask
So
all of you,
today I want to ask all of you,
what's your contribution?
what's your contribution going to be? What problems are you going to solve? What discoveries will you make? So I expect all of you
get serious
to,
this year.
to get serious this year.
You to put your best effort
I expect you to put your best effort
in everything you
in
do.
everything
I
you do.
expect great
I expect you to put your best effort into everything you do.
things from each of you.
I expect great things from each of you.
Don't let us down.
So don't let us
Don't let
down.
your family
Don't let your family down or your country down. Most of all, don't let yourself down.
Make us all proud.
Make us all proud.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you. God bless America. God bless America. 네, 됐습니다. 네, 10분 영상인데 오늘 15분 컷 됐습니다. 다음은 How to have a good conversation이라는 TED 영상 보면서 한번 해보겠습니다.
How do you learn a subject or skill in
How
half
do
the
you learn
time?
a subject
Let's do this
skill?
together. I want you to right now think
I
of a
want you to
subject
right
or
now
skill
think
that
of
you
a
just want
subject
to learn
skill.
fast. You want to learn it rapidly next.
잠깐 자막을 보면서 있습니다. 이게 아닌데. 자, 잠깐만요. Before this comes to talk. Before this comes to talk.
Alright, I want to see a show
Alright, I want to see a show of hands. How many of you have unfriended someone on Facebook because they said something offensive about politics, religion, or childcare, food? And how many of you know at least one person that you avoid because you just don't want to talk to them?
You know, it used to be that in order to have a polite conversation,
It used to be that in order that a polite
we just
conversation,
had to follow the advice of Henry Higgins and my
we
fairly
just had to follow, we just had to follow the advice, We just had to follow the advice of Hal Higgins and my
stick
first
to the
lady.
weather and your health.
But, yeah,
But
stick to the
these
weather and your health.
With climate
These,
change
but
and
this way,
anti-vaxxing,
but these days with climate change and anti-vaccine, those subjects
are not safe
are not
either.
safe either.
So
this world that we live in,
this world in which every
conversation has the potential to develop into an argument, where our politicians can speak to one another, and where even the most trivial issues, if someone fighting goes passionately for it and against it, it's not normal. Pew Research did a study of 10,000 smart candidates, and they found that at this moment we're more polarized, we're more divided than we ever have been in history. We're less likely to compromise. This means we're not listening to each other. And we make decisions about whether who matter and even who our friends are going to be, based on what we already believe. Again, that means we're not listening to each other. A conversation requires a balance between talking and listening. And somewhere along the way, we lost that balance. Now, part of that is due to technology, and now part of this is due to technology. The smartphone that you all either have in your hands, or close enough that you could grab them really quickly. According to Pew Research, about a third of American teenagers send more than 100 texts a day, and many of them, almost most of them, are more likely to text their friends than they are to talk to them face to face.
There's this great piece in the Atlantic.
There's this great piece in the Atlantic. There's this great piece in the Atlantic.
It was written by a high school teacher.
It was written by a high school teacher
And
named
he
Paul
gave his kids a
Bala,
communication
and he
project.
gave his kids a communication
He
project.
wanted to teach him how to speak on a specific subject
He wanted to teach them how to speak on a specific subject
without
without
notes.
using notes.
And he said
And
this.
he said this.
I came to realize
that conversation and confidence might be the single most overlooked skill we fail to teach. Kids spend hours each day engaging with ideas and each other through screens, but rarely do they have an opportunity to hone their interpersonal communication skills. It might sound like a funny question, but you have to ask ourselves: is there any 21st century skill more important than being able to sustain coherent, confident conversation?
Now I make my living talking.
I make my living talking to people. I make my living talking to people. Nobel Prize winners, truck drivers, billionaires, kindergarten teachers, heads of states, plumbers. I talk to people that I like. I talk to people that I don't like. I talk to some people that I disagree with deeply on a personal level, but I still have a good conversation with them. So I like to spend the so I like to spend the next 10 minutes or so. So I like to so I like to I'd like to so I'd like to spend the next 10 minutes or so. So I'd like to spend the next 10 minutes or so teaching you how to talk and how to listen. Many of you have many of you have many of you have many of you have already heard a lot of advice on this, heard a lot of advice, heard a lot of heard a, heard a lot of advice on this, heard advice on this, heard a lot of advice on this. Many of you have already heard a lot of advice on this. Things like look the person in the eye, think of interesting topics to discuss in advance, look nod and smile to show that you're paying attention. Repeat back what you just heard. Summarize it so much to forget all of that. It is crap. There is no reason to learn how to show you're paying attention if you are in fact paying attention. I actually use the exact same skills as a professional interviewer that I do in regular life. So, I'm gonna teach you how to interview people, and I'm just actually gonna help you learn how to be better conversationalist. Learn to have a conversation without asking your time, without getting bored, and please without offending anybody. We all have real conversations. It happened before. We know what's like the kind of conversation where you walk away and feeling engaged and inspired, or where you feel like you've made a connection or you've been perfectly understood. There is no reason why most of our interactions can't be like that. So I have 10 basic rules. I'm gonna walk you. I'm gonna walk you I'm gonna walk you through rules. I'm gonna walk you through all of them. But honestly, if you just choose one of them and master it, you'll already enjoy better conversations. Number one, don't multitask. And I don't mean just set down your cell phones or your tablet or your car keys or whatever is in your hand. I mean, be present. Be in that moment. Don't be thinking about your argument you had with your boss. Don't think about what you're gonna have for dinner. If you want to get out the conversation. Get out the conversation. Don't be half in it and half out of it. Number two, don't pontificate. If you want to state your opinion without any opportunity for response or argument or pushback or growth, pushback, 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 pushback. Okay. Write a blog. Now, there's a really good reason why. There's a really good reason. There's a really good reason why I don't allow pundits on my show. Because they're really boring. If they're conservative, they're gonna hate Obama and Bruce Stamps and Bush. If they're liberal, they're gonna hate big banks and oil corporations and big channel. Totally predictable. And you don't want to be like that. You need to enter every conversation assuming that you have something to run. The famed therapist M. Scott Peck said that true wisdom requires a setting aside of oneself. And sometimes that means setting aside your personal opinion. He said that sensing this acceptance, the speaker will become less and less vulnerable and more likely to open up the inner recesses of his own mind to the listener. Again, assume that you have something to learn. Be nice. Everyone you will ever meet knows something that you don't. I put it this way: everybody is an expert in something. Number three, use open-ended questions. In this case, take a cue from generalists. Start your questions with who, what, when, where, why, and how. If you put in a complicated question, you're gonna get a simple answer. If I ask you, are you terrified? You're gonna respond to the most powerful word in the sentence, which is terrified. And the answer is, yes, I was, or no, I wasn't.
Angry? Yes, I was very angry.
Were you angry? Yes, I was very angry.
Describe it.
Let them describe it.
Ones that know.
They're the ones that know.
Try asking them things like,
Try asking them things like,
what was that like?
what was it like?
How did that feel?
How did that feel?
Because then
Because then
they might have to
they
stop
might
for a
have to
moment
stop for a moment
and
and think about it.
And you're gonna get
And
a
you-
much more interesting.
And you're gonna get a much more interesting response.
Number 4.
Number 4,
Go with the flow.
go with the flow.
That means
That means
thoughts will come into
thoughts
your
will
mind,
come into your mind,
and you need to
and you need
let them
to
go out of your mind.
let them go out of your
We've
mind.
heard
We've heard interviews
in which
often
a
in which the guest is talking for several minutes, and then the host comes back in and asks us the same question, which it seems like it comes out of nowhere, or it's already been answered. That means the host probably stopped listening 2 minutes ago because he thought of this really clever question, and he was just bound and determined to say that. And we do the exact same thing. We're sitting there, we're sitting here, we are sitting there having conversation with someone, and then we remember that time that we met Hugh Jackman in a coffee shop, and we stopped listening. We're just waiting for a moment to interject our story about Hugh Jackman and coffee. Stories and ideas are gonna come to you. You need to let them come and let them go. Number 5, if you don't know, say that you don't know. Now, people on the radio, especially on NPR, are much more aware that they are going on the record, and so they are more careful about what they claim to be an expert in, and what they claim to know for sure. Do that. Err on the side of caution. Talk should not be cheap. Number 6, don't equate your experience with theirs. If they're talking about loss of family member, don't start talking about time. Don't start talking about the time you lost a family member. If they're talking about the trouble they're having at work, don't tell them about how much you hate your job. It's not the same. It is never the same. Our experiences are individual, and more importantly, it is not about you. You don't need to take the moment to prove how amazing you are or how much you have suffered. Somebody asked Stephen Hawking once what his IQ was, and he said, "I have no idea. People who brag about their IQs are losers." Conversations are not a promotion opportunity. Number 7. Try not to repeat yourself. It's condescending and it's really boring. And we tend to do it a lot, especially in work conversations or in conversations with our kids. We have a point to make, so we just keep rephrasing it over and over. Don't do that. Number 8. Stay out of the weeds. Frankly, people don't care about the years, the names, the dates, or those details that you're struggling to come up within your mind. They don't care. What they care about is you. They care about what you like, what you have in common. So forget the details. Leave them out. Number 9. This is not the last one, but it's the most important one. Listen. I cannot tell you how many really important people have said that listening is perhaps the number one most important skills that you could develop. Buddha said, and I'm paraphrasing, if your mouth is open, you're not learning. And Calvin Coolidge said, no man ever listens his way out of the job. Why do we not listen to each other? Number 1, we'd rather talk. When I'm talking, I'm in control. I don't have to hear anything. I don't have to hear anything. I'm not interested. I'm the center of attention. I can boast on my own identity. But there's another reason. We get distracted. The average person talks at about 225 words per minute, but we can listen at up to 500 words per minute. So our minds are feeling in those other 275 words. Look, I know it takes effort and energy to actually pay attention to someone. But if you can't do that, we're not in a conversation. You're just two people. You're just two people shouting out very little sentences in the same place.
You have to.
You have to listen to one another. Stephen Covey said it very beautifully. He said most of us don't listen with the intent to understand. We listen with the intent to reply. One more law, and number 10, and it's this one: be brief. A good conversation is like a miniskirt, short enough to retain interest, but long enough to cover the sight. From my sister. All of this boils down to the same basic concept, and it is this one: be interested other people. I grew up with a very famous grandfather, and there were kinds of creatures in my own. People would come over to talk to my grandparents, and after they would leave, my mother would come over to us, and she'd say, "Do you know who that was?" She was the run-up to Mr. Mecca. He was the mayor of Sacramento. She won a Pulitzer Prize. He's a Russian ballet dancer. And I started kind of grew up assuming everyone has some hidden amazing thing about them. And honestly, I think it's what makes me a better host. I keep my mouth shut as often as I possibly can. I keep my mind open. I'm always prepared to be amazed, and I'm never disappointed. You do the same thing. Go out, talk to people, listen to people, and most importantly, be prepared to be amazed. Thanks. 네, 네, 드디어 한 32분 정도에 끝냈고요. 네, 이 정도면 30분 안에 끝낼 수 있을 것 같습니다. 네, 그럼 오바마 영상도 이제 계속 하다가 그만한다고 생각을 하고 다음으로 할 영상을